We have the Texas primary results. And I don't know if you saw, but apparently more war, baby. The United States joined Ecuador in terrorist strikes against drug traffickers, like the same drug traffickers that we killed over the past few months, even though there's no evidence released that these Venezuelan fishermen were drug traffickers. But it's okay because Donald Trump, the peace president, can do what he want to do. So that takes it up to 8 countries in the past year that Donald Trump, as the peace president, has struck. And we're, of course, talking about Iran. There's no exit strategy. Apparently, Israel led us into it, but then they realized, oops, that makes us look bad. So then Marco Rubio, when asked by the reporter, who told you that? And the reporter's like, I'm the
You
one that
did
asked you the question. And you did. He goes,
yesterday.
oh, crap, my bad. I'm Marco Rubio. Where do you want to start? The primaries? You want to start with our never-ending war? Do you want to start with the Kristi Noem of it all?
Let's go with primaries for 200.
Primaries. All right, let's go to Texas. Danielle, your takeaway.
My takeaway is that Dallas and the voter suppression that was on display there is going to be a taste
Yep.
of what we are going to witness nationwide with the SAVE Act, with what Steve Bannon and bobblehead Barbie over at the White House press secretary office said could be ICE potentially acting as security at the polls. I watched videos of a black woman crying because
Mm,
she had gone to the polls where she voted in 2024. She had made sure that she was registered and she was turned away. I watched and told to go someplace else. I watched another video, black man, same story over and over again. Hours of waiting in line to cast their votes. And I woke up this morning and I said to one of my friends who's a political scientist, and I said, I wonder what Texas would look like if Texas was not the capital of voter suppression. I wonder and her response was, I wonder what America would look like if voter suppression was illegal. And so, when I look at what happened in Texas, it is just, again, a preview, a trailer to midterm elections. I think that once again, Texas, much like America, chose not to go with a black woman, chose a safe white man that they think can win. And I watched a video, I watched a video of a white woman crying, saying that she so wanted to vote for Jasmine Crockett, but she knew Jasmine Crockett couldn't win, so she didn't vote for her.
mm.
And I think to myself, what logic does that make for you? That if you want somebody to win, you know what you do to make them win? You vote for them, right? Like that's how that works. They don't win otherwise. And so I have my thoughts about how that primary was won, but that's just off the top of the dome.
So my takeaway there is Republicans are in trouble. We're looking at the numbers right now in Texas. There was almost twice as many Dems who came out and voted. There was a massive surge, massive momentum, not so much for Republicans. If I'm a Republican, I'm a bit worried because this is Texas, y'all. Like, we shouldn't even be having this conversation that anybody, whether it's a Crockett or a Talarico, is competitive. Furthermore, the problem with the Republicans, now they're going to get into a nasty, long, drawn out a runoff between Cornyn and Paxton. Paxton's the attorney general, like you said. We saw a sneak preview of what Texas and other Republican attorney generals are going to do for their king and daddy, Donald Trump. I talked to Kurt Bardella yesterday. He's in Dallas. He said the same thing. His wife tried again and again and again to vote. She's like, what the F? They did a rule change at the beginning of the year, deliberately didn't tell people. People went to go vote. They said, sorry, you have to go to this precinct. Hundreds of people were turned away, folks. And then yesterday, the reason why Jasmine Crockett was pissed off, and she had every right to be, is they said, well, too bad. Polls close at 7. Then a judge said, no, 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 we'll extend it to 9. Then Ken Paxton got the Texas Supreme Court to say, no, 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 nope, we're going to go against this judge. And by the way, any ballot collected after 7 p.m., throw it away. That's why Jasmine said what she said. But then in the morning and even last night, looking at the numbers, Talarico had in the past 2 months kind of surged, put together this coalition, and she realized, okay, even if with a recount, she's probably not going to win. So hats off to Jasmine Crockett for not harming the Democratic opportunity. She could have done it, and she today conceded. She hasn't really said whether or not she'll join Talrico. I can't blame her. Folks, give her a day or two or three. I'm sure they'll come around. But when it comes to Republicans, Ken Paxton, he is not a good man. Ken Paxton is vile. His ex-wife says he's vile. He has a lot of baggage. If it's Ken Paxton versus Talrico, what they're saying is Talrico needs to do a +5 or a +6, which will be very, very hard. But what we're seeing, Danielle, is a lot of these voters, Latinos in particular, are not necessarily coming back to the Democrats. They're so pissed off by Trump's overreach on the economy and the immigration. This is the key, folks. They're not going back to Democrats, but they're like, we're not going to vote for this mother effer. Now, the problem with that, Danielle, is Democratic leadership is saying, oh, these people are voting for us anyway. We don't have to promise
Right.
them an agenda. We don't have to promise them a Project 2028. We don't have to promise them immigration reform. We don't have to say anything about abolish ICE. We don't have to say anything about APAC. We actually can lie to them, Danielle, and go against our own word, not release the audit, and they'll just vote for us. But this is what I think was something really positive. Yesterday, you saw, and there's a shift here, Danielle, which I think is impressive. You saw 3 progressive Democrats knock out 3 safe conservative incumbent Democrats in North Carolina. Those 3 Democrats were working with Republicans, centrist, working with law enforcement and ICE. And they said no. Jasmine Crockett's pastor replaced her. He's a progressive Democrat who is hardcore pro-Palestinian. And then you saw yesterday, I don't know if you saw this, I wanted to ask you about this. Gavin Newsom with the Pod Bros, did you hear what he said? He said, I think Israel's apartheid state. We should look at what happened. We should reevaluate APAC. Your response to that, Danielle?
Gavin Newsom can go to hell. And and I know that people want some white knight, literally, to come in and save America from itself. And Gavin Newsom, I hate to break the news to folks, ain't that guy. Gavin Newsom will say whatever you want to hear when he's standing in front of you. And then when he walks away, he changes his script. So on one day, on one person's podcast, I didn't mean to refer to ICE as fascist. Yeah, that was a bit too far. But then in front of another audience, ICE has gone too far and they're fascist. In front of one audience, it's like Israel has a right to defend itself. In front of another audience, oh, Israel is an apartheid state. Here is the thing that Democrats, especially corporatized Democrats, don't get is that what the people want is authenticity and integrity. What people want, right, is the truth and not to be lied to. What people want are folks that have opinions that they actually stand 10 toes down for, right? And so what we continue to see is that the establishment Democrats will say whatever they need to say when they are standing in front of you, and then they will vote against your best interest so long as it continues to line their pockets. They will do what Hakeem Jeffries is doing, which is take money from APAC, bundle that money, and then distribute it out to other Democrats so that they can look you in the eye, lie to you, and tell you that they don't take money from APAC because, well, technically, I didn't take money from APAC. I took money from Hakeem Jeffries, and Hakeem Jeffries took money from APAC. Look, I am tired of settling for crumbs. I am tired of trying to make good with bad people. And at the end of the day, you have one party that is a group of cruel monsters who are dehumanizing people, who are depraved, and who are also stupid. And then on the other hand, you have a party of enablers who know better, don't do any better because they don't want to upset the donor class and will enable the other party in order to pretend as if they are working on behalf of the people. Here's the thing is that what I appreciate sometimes about white nationalists is that you're going to call me an N-word to my face. What Democrats do instead is like they're the person in the room that while you're being called the N-word say, oh, I wish they wouldn't say that. That's not nice. That's not fighting on my behalf. You understand? right? Like, that's not being an ally. That's not standing up for the people. That's standing aside. And frankly, I am sick and tired, and as should everyone else, be sick and tired of telling yourselves that you need to settle, you need to swallow
That's
the
right.
bullshit in order to just get a Democrat in place. Because what we have seen is that just having a D behind your name does not mean you're down for the cause, right? That's not what the fuck that means. Okay. Actually, what we see right now is that the Democrats, the establishment, that D behind their name means that they don't do dick. Like, that's what that stands for. And I'm tired of it. And so should everybody else.
And you know what? Danielle's saying everything I want to say, but can't because I'm fasting and I have a whole bunch of kids around. But we've been seeing this for a decade, Danielle. We've been hijacked. We've been hijacked by the two-party system. We've been hijacked by Democratic establishment who still to this day, Hakeem Jeffries told it to me. Nobody can say that compared to Republicans that we're worse. I mean, just look at it. And what they're basically saying is you're going to either vote for us or Trump. You're going to vote for us. Shut your mouth, brownie. Shut your mouth, Muslim. Shut your mouth, black. Shut your mouth, Mexican. Look at what they're doing. Shut your mouth. Shut up. That's what they told us in 2024. Danielle and I on this channel said repeatedly, we're trying to help the Democrats. You cannot ignore Gaza. It's not just a brown thing, a Muslim thing, an Arab thing. Gaza has radicalized the entire world. You have to at least communicate to people some difference, some path forward. The bar is so low, folks, it's in hell. You have to at least, I don't know, bring up a Palestinian speaker next to the Jewish mother speaker. And what do they say? Shut up. Quiet, piggy. Exactly, Natalie. Quiet, piggy. Quiet, brown cow. It's either us or Trump. You're not going to vote for Trump. You're
Exactly.
going to vote for us. They literally said this to community leaders. I went around and I asked the communities. They said they kicked them out of meetings. And they said, no, we're not going to talk about Gaza. If you want to talk to us, you're not going to bring up Gaza. You're going to vote for us anyway. They took them for granted. What happened? 18 million Democrats stayed at home. YouGov poll says the number one issue, not the only issue that kept people at home, Gaza. The audit from 2 weeks ago, we've got the leak from Axios. What's in the audit? Gaza, right? And so now you're seeing, oh, we got dog walked into a war based on Marco Rubio's admission, and also which corresponds to the New York Times reporting that Donald Trump got flattered by Benjamin Netanyahu. Netanyahu walked in, kind of bullied the administration, said, hey, Israel's going to go in anyway. Then the administration, a couple of days ago, February 25th, according to Politico, I don't know if you saw this, Danielle, two aides of the administration said, you know what, in order to sell this unpopular war, because 70% are against it, we're going to let Israel do it first, and then we're going to go on the heels to help Israel.
How
That'll
does that make it any better?
no, but they made it even worse because we're run by the
Right.
dumbest people. That might have, maybe you could have like sold that at least internationally that said, oh, we didn't do this. Israel was the first one. We're just supporting our ally. Or if Marco Rubio was correct, Israel did strike. And if then Iran struck against, say, I don't know, Dubai, the consulate's on fire, folks, or you know, our bases, then America could say, hey, 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 we didn't strike you, Iran. It was Israel. But now that you struck our facility, we have to go in. If they were competent and smart and strategic, I don't know. That's what they would do. I don't want to give them ideas. But instead, what did they do, Danielle? Instead, the morning of I was awake, that Israel bombs Iran and assassinates their leader, the supreme leader during Ramadan, and bombs a school. Nearly 200 girls are dead. The United States says it's a joint operation. We collaborated with them. And then, because they're so stupid, they didn't even agree on similar talking points. I don't know if you've seen, Danielle, that great clip. I'm so glad someone made it because I've been talking about it for a while. According to Pete Hegseth, it's a war. According to
Oh
Mark
yeah. Oh yeah.
Green,
I played it.
it's
I played it
conflict.
yesterday. Yeah, it's a strategic operation. No, it's not a war. Yes, it's a war. It's not done till we say it's done. It's and CNN put it together, and it's an absolute mess. But I want to pick up on something you said because I watched a part of the briefing, White House briefing just before we came on, and what is her name? Kaylin Collins, right over at CNN, says to bobblehead Barbie. So Is the official White House response that, like, we're just as reporters and journalists not supposed to cover this war, not supposed to cover the service people that are being murdered? And that came on the heels of another reporter saying, so if this is a joint operation, so America is responsible for the deaths of 175 girls and bombed a school. No, America doesn't target civilians. And as a matter of fact, the Department of War is looking into it. And I said, do you see how stupid you sound when
No,
you say that we don't do those things, Iran does those things, but America is the one that provoked this war when they had no intel whatsoever that said that Iran, which over the last 30 years, Netanyahu has been trying to goad us into a war.
Danielle,
30
40,
years. Oh,
40.
40 years. He's been saying the same thing. They're weeks away from a nuclear program for 40 years. They're weeks away. And you say, well, why did we go to war? Why are there now 6, 10, 11? We're in double digits of American soldiers killed right now. Why is that the case? And Bobblehead Barbie says, Donald Trump had a feeling. He
Oh,
had a feeling that Iran was going to strike. Iran does not have the technology, the missile range to strike America,
nope.
right? We know this. It is not rocket science. We know this. So Donald Trump woke up with a feeling. You should have handed him a fucking ketchup bottle so he could throw it at the wall. He woke up with the feeling, hand him his fucking Truth Social so that he can go on a rant. You don't hand the man a fucking war and then say, go have at it. And isn't it fun? Donald Trump is on a roll, said one of the insiders. We've attacked Syria. We've attacked Nigeria. We've attacked Venezuela, Iran. Like, Donald Trump is on a roll all the way to hell. And he's taking us with him.
Yeah,
So
and that
it's
and
just,
what Danielle is saying is in that same insider, it was the New York Times. This was about 2 days ago. He's like, let's go after Cuba. So they mentioned Cuba next because he felt like he was on a roll.
yeah. And it was Lindsey Graham that says, we got to take Cuba down. Cuba's got to go next. And somebody called it on social media because I don't want to claim it. Somebody said, like, look at the wargasms that these men are having right now. Called it a wargasm. And
Yep.
it's 1,000% correct. The hype that they have around murdering children, around turning cities into rubble is absolutely depraved. We need another word for depraved. It is sick and twisted. Almost 200 children, girls, were buried during Ramadan because Israel and the United States struck a school. You're telling me you don't have the fucking intel that tells you where the schools are versus where the bases are? You don't know the difference between a school or the Ayatollah's compound? You do. You don't care. So let's just stop pretending that this is about anything other than the desire to expand Israel, to create the greater Israel, for Donald Trump to get as much oil as he can so that his cronies can continue getting rich and sucking on our finite resources in the globe and causing mayhem that
And
they
and
profit off of.
this is CNN. Natasha Bertrand a couple hours ago. Trump administration officials acknowledged during a closed door briefing on Capitol Hill Tuesday that Iran's Shahid attack drones represent a major challenge and U.S. air defenses will not be able to intercept them all. The drones, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth and Chairman of Joint Chief of Staff General Dan Kane acknowledged, are posing a bigger problem than anticipated. No ish. Also, Pete Hegseth suggested this morning that reporting on the 6 U.S. service members who were killed in Trump and Israel's war is an example of the news media, quote, trying to make Trump look bad.
And that's what and so Caitlin Collins, her question to Bobblehead Barbie was, so is it that we're not supposed to cover as journalists the deaths of American soldiers in the midst of a war that you started on Saturday off of Donald Trump's whims? Like, we're not supposed to do that?
And I was in conversation and I missed it. I'm so glad Daniel brought it up. Right now, it's trending, and the exchange has been caught from multiple angles. This is the recap, folks. All right, I know it's a lot. Benjamin Netanyahu, for as long as I have been alive, as Daniel said, has come out and tried to goad the United States into war with Iran. Specifically, they wanted the United States to either lead or back their efforts to remove the Ayatollah and the Islamic Republic, which they see as an existential threat. Thankfully, even the most administration in the past, including the Bush administration, said, nah, we won't F with Iran. Benjamin Netanyahu came here 23 years ago while the United States of America made the failed case, well, the successful lying case, illegal case for war, where Colin Powell, remember, trotted out that vile yellow cake, Niger, preemptive strike, imminent threat, mobile weapons of destruction. Uh, Guess who was there, folks? Go back and check. Netanyahu. Netanyahu took a plane from Tel Aviv and came here and tried to convince the world that this is a just war. Israel has faced the same threat, and the United States and the West must join in this war on terror. Right? Iran is 1 week away from a bomb. Iran is 3 hours away from a bomb. Iran is 2 minutes away from a bomb. He's tried again and again and again and again. Thankfully, some cool heads prevailed until Donald Trump, right? So then, it's very important for people to know, as what Danielle said, Iran, according to our own intelligence and our
Yep.
Pentagon, does not have the ballistic missile capability for those missiles to reach the United States, number one. Iran does not have the nuclear weapons. It just doesn't. According to the Omani foreign minister who was working as a liaison, folks, he had a fantastic 20-minute interview. Folks, they had reached diplomatic breakthroughs to the point where what Iran had agreed in the past week, right, through this negotiation, if Donald Trump had simply come out and said, through negotiations under my leadership, I have achieved something beyond Obama. This is better than the US-Iran deal. Iran has agreed to no nuclear enrichment for the next couple of years. They have no ballistic missiles. This is through diplomacy. I did better than Obama. If he was a smart man, Daniel, he would have done that. It would have been a win. But because they are run by neocons, in the military industrial complex that wants more money, what we found out yesterday, Danielle, I don't know if you've been following this story, white Christian nationalists.
Oh yes, oh yes,
Jonathan
yeah,
Larson did a great piece
yes.
where literally there's over 200 complaints from 30-minute military installations across the world where troops are saying that their commanders are openly using white Christian nationalist language.
It's
It's,
Armageddon. They
it's
want to usher all the things.
rapture,
I just
Armageddon,
want to
second
say
coming
this
of Jesus.
because I think that this is probably one of the most important stories because Waj, this has been something that you have been talking about for a long time when it came
Years.
to white evangelical Christians, that you have said Donald Trump is their imperfect tool. They want to usher in the rapture. They believe that in order to do that, that Israel must control the Middle East, right? That Israel must control these places, and then Christ will come back, right?
Yep.
So what they are doing, what they see themselves as doing, are soldiers of God, soldiers of God's holy war to bring in the rapture. So I say this, right? Because this was important. And I talked about it yesterday on the Danielle Moody Show Watch, where I said this. I played the clip of Marjorie Taylor Greene on Megyn Kelly's show yesterday on Sirius XM. Marjorie Taylor Greene says this because even a white racist trash clock can be right twice a day. Marjorie Taylor Greene says this: Donald Trump does not believe that he's going to heaven. Donald Trump
Okay.
doesn't believe that he is going to heaven. She goes, what does it mean then that the president of the United States doesn't see himself as accountable to a higher God? What does it mean then if all bets are off because he doesn't have anyone to account to, not even God, because he says that ship has sailed? What does that mean for the rest of us? That means hell on earth,
Yep.
right? Like that was my interpretation. It means that I am going to do whatever, however I want, because again, I'm not beholden to anything, and I don't believe, right, that I'll see anyone in heaven. You have that part tied in with these white Christian nationalists that have now infiltrated in the Pentagon, into our military ranks, that see the Constitution as man's document when they are following their orders from their white nationalist God that is telling them to rain down more bloodshed, because the more blood that they create, the more bloodshed that they create, the more the closer they get to rapture. Folks, I'm not making this up. It sounds fucking crazy. This is what Jonathan Larson wrote about yesterday. It is what I dissected after I read his writing, and then John Pavlovich's writings on it, and listening to Waj over the last several years say these things. The reason why they don't care about these federal judges, they don't care about the Constitution, is because those are laws made by man. And they have told themselves that their white nationalist Jesus, their white nationalist God, is the one that is calling the shots. And the rest of us are the sacrifices that are necessary in order for them to get to the rapture. That's where the fuck we are.
No, and let's just spend a little bit of time on this, folks, because as Danielle said, I've been in it for a hot minute. This is not just a one-off. The belief of this administration, it's not just a few fringe folks, that they are the soldiers of Christ, and their job is to use their power and privilege to create the necessary conditions for the return of Jesus. This is what we're dealing with. This is why we're at war with Iran right now, all right? Because white Christian nationalists, and specifically white evangelical Christians, represent the base, the unbreakable base of Donald Trump, the one group that never, ever, ever, ever breaks with him for the past 10 years. He could do anything. 75% of his base are white evangelical Christians. Many of them, not all of them, espouse this type of white Christian belief, in which they believe that the United States of America, in particular, is a blessed land, and that Americans, in particular, are the stewards of this land. It is up to white Christian men to use any violent and illegal means necessary to do the will of God on earth and to create these conditions that will allow Jesus to return. What are one of the conditions? How does this tie to Israel? How does this tie to the war in Iran? One of the major conditions in their very extreme and radical interpretation of the end of times is that Jews have to control Jerusalem. Jews have to control Jerusalem as a major necessary precondition for Jesus to return. So, the largest Zionist group in America is not a Jewish group, wait for it, Christians United for Israel, led by Pastor Hagee, who is the greatest, most loyal partner of Netanyahu. Not American Jews. Most American Jews do not like him. Some do, the right-wing pro-Israel groups, but they're not the majority. He's given up on young Jews because he realizes where the wind is blowing. His greatest partner are Christian Zionists. Who is a Christian Zionist? Mike Huckabee. Who has been chosen to be the U.S. ambassador to Israel? Mike Huckabee. Who, in an interview with Tucker Carlson a couple of weeks ago, openly said, all of it belongs to Israel. In fact, if Israel wants, it could take most of the Middle East. The Bible commands it. The next day, our allies who are being bombed right now said, what the F? Is this U.S. policy, or is Mike Huckabee just going off the reservation? A broken white nationalist clock can be right twice a day. It should have been corporate media, Danielle. It should have been Rachel Maddow, who never says ish about Israel. Have you noticed? It should have been Democrats who asked Mike Huckabee and Ted Cruz's questions. Instead, it's up to friggin' white nationalist Tucker Carlson, who completely exposed him, completely exposed, and Mike Huckabee is perfectly fine with essentially leading us to Armageddon and war, because he believes, as a white Christian nationalist, his job is to help Jews control Israel. Not because they love Jews. In fact, many of these white evangelicals, they don't like the Jews.
Anti-Semites.
Yeah, they're anti-Semites, but they love Israel. Now, connecting it to this Trump administration. Back in the day, just to give you an example, folks, even in the Bush administration, which I thought used to be the worst administration, when George W. Bush made the mistake, he made many mistakes, especially when it came to his rhetoric, he used the word crusade. Remember what happened, Danielle? Literally, Europe was like, Ixnay on the crusade, what the F? And then he apologized. There was a general, William Boykin, who, much like the 200 complaints that we've heard 20 years ago, told his troops, same thing. This is a Christian war. This is a holy war. We have to go against the infidels. William Boykin, folks, he was forced to resign. All right. Then he became like this white Christian nationalist, hardcore right-wing MAGA guy, right? But he was forced to resign because the Bush administration said, no, that's bad. Now, fast forward, our Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth, I tried my best to warn, He wrote a book, folks, called American Crusade. He has tattoos all over his body
Yep.
that are used in part by white Christian nationalists, the Jerusalem Cross, Deus Vod, God wills it. To be unsubtle, we talked about this in Democracy. She has a new tattoo called Kafir. Kafir in Arabic means one who rejects the truth. So he's telling Muslims, I'm your kafir. I reject you. Ha ha ha. What I really am is a Christian. Here's the Iron Cross, the Jerusalem Cross that was used by some of the Crusaders, right? He is now affiliated with Doug Wilson's Christ Church. Doug Wilson is a Christian nationalist. Doug Wilson doesn't believe in the separation of church and state. When Pamela Brown of CNN did a 6-minute segment on Doug Wilson and their extremist church and the fact they don't believe in the 19th Amendment and the fact that they believe women should be subservient to men, Pete Hegseth approvingly shared that 6-minute clip with
Yep.
the Christ Church slogan, all of Christ for all of life. Doug Wilson was invited to the Pentagon to lead prayer services.
Which he is doing, and they are doing at the White House. And by the way, those prayer meetings, right? Those prayer sessions are blasted through the Pentagon when they are happening. There is no separation under this low life Pete Hegseth between church and state. It is all one. And now what you were hearing, thank you to Jonathan Larson and his independent reporting, what you are learning now is that there are all of these leaks. Waj, you notice this? Jared and I talked about this. All of these leaks coming out of the military. Do you know what our military doesn't do? Leak shit. Do you know when they leak things? When they're really, really unhappy. All of the things that we are hearing drip, drip, drip out of the military ranks is that this operation is failing, that Iran is outsmarting the United States because they have been planning on this for 20 some odd years. And they've also known not to fucking trust Donald Trump, right? And so if what we have taught the Iranian people over the last 4 decades is that if you come to the table and negotiate, we're going to blow up the table.
Yep.
If you try and enrich uranium, we're going to blow you up.
Yep.
If your leader is going to do for you and not do for us, we're going to kill them. Like if you have consistently told them that it doesn't matter actually what you do, because at the end of the day, what folks need to understand is that peace is not profitable. Peace is not profitable, nor does a deal help them usher in the rapture. So all of this is an entire strategy to cause chaos, to rain down bloodshed in the Holy Lands, in this unimaginable hope that you're going to bring Christ back. It is fucking bananas. It is insane. And it is happening at the hands of these white nationalist Christians that we don't have to wonder, are they white nationalist Christians? They are telling us.
They're
And their
telling you.
strategies show us that they are white national Christians. And so this is the thing. This is what I think is going to happen, Waj. I think that we are, the atomic clock where it says minutes to midnight. I think that we are seconds to midnight. I think that we are closer in our lifetime than we have ever been to nuclear war. I think that Iran is like, I don't give a fuck. You are going to continue bombing us. You're going to continue killing our children. You're going to continue ruining our infrastructure. So we got nothing left to lose.
No, Daniel, you're absolutely right. And that is the strategy. And listen, two things can be true at the same time. Saddam Hussein was a brutal dictator. The manner in which the United States removed him made everything worse. The Vilayat-e-Faqih, the guardianship of the jurist, the Islamic Republic, the Ayatollah, the Islamic Republic, the Revolutionary Guards, the religious leadership has oppressed the Iranian people. They've killed they say, up to 15,000 protesters. But the manner in which Donald Trump for the past 10 years, folks, has treated Iran has escalated the situation. Donald Trump blew up the successful U.S.-Iran deal, which was a feather in the cap of Obama that brought Iran to the table. To Danielle's point, just imagine you're Iran. We did everything right. The deal was a success. We were working together. There was sanction relief. And this mother effer led by, again, who? White Christian nationalists and Netanyahu and the Israel APAC lobbies blew it up. Then what happened? All right, we're going to try to survive. Oh, Israel's going to come in and assassinate Soleimani, and they're going to do a terror attack. That was Leon Panetta's word with the pager attacks. And now we're seeing even Fetterman and others celebrate this. Oh, okay. So you're perfectly fine with assassinating our people. Okay, fine. Then what happens? Donald Trump gets elected again, gets dog walked again by Netanyahu last summer, does what? Joins Israel in its 12-day war, says, I've obliterated Iran's nuclear abilities. No, it doesn't obliterate anything, but it degrades it, right? So if you're Iran, to Daniel's point, and Daniel made a very good point, think about it this way. No matter what we do,
Yep.
Israel is hell-bent on destroying us.
Yep.
No matter what we do, this dumbass Donald Trump, because Netanyahu knows how to play him, will join Israel in destroying us. This has now become an existential threat. And then the worst thing that you can do during Ramadan, you join Israel in this a decapitation strike that kills Ayatollah Khomeini. You have no exit strategy. You have no ground troop strategy. You have no strategy to protect your bases. You have no strategy as of yesterday, folks, to protect tourists who are stuck, Americans. Okay.
Oh,
So
so long as they're not MAGA influencers, because if they're MAGA influencers, they'll send you a charter. If you work at the consulate or the embassies in
go to Egypt.
any of these affected areas, you get a voicemail that says, "Find your own way out. Good luck."
Yeah, try to get to Egypt, and then inshallah you'll be okay. So now Iran, right? What we're witnessing, and why the world, this might could get worse and worse and worse. And Rula's coming on in 15 minutes, and Rula was really worried when I was talking to her on the text. Think about it. Iran is saying, okay, we don't give an F. We'll bleed. We'll bleed to the last man. We're gonna gouge you. We're going to gouge you. And what their strategy is, folks, is we know there's no appetite for war in America. We see the polls. We
Yep.
know that America and Israel, you're really good at bombing people. But when you get bombed, I'm sorry, we're not used to it. Israel isn't used to it either. One Israeli dies, Israel freaks out, but let's do a genocide in Gaza. Same thing happens in America when you have power, right? So we're like, we're betting that you don't have the appetite for this. Okay, we're going to bomb your bases. We're going to bomb the consulate. We're going to do our missiles. In Israel, we'll kill a few people, even though we know that you're much more powerful than us. You're going to have to now live the next few days in bunkers. That's going to hurt the economy. We're going to choke the Strait of Hormuz. That's going to make oil prices go up. How much are you willing to take, America? How much are you willing to take? We'll take whatever it takes because we know you want to kill all of us. We don't give an F. And we're going to double down because you effed up in the regime change. Guess what? Now we're just taking our time. We have a succession plan. The Revolutionary Guard is still in place. We're going to crush our dissent even more. And furthermore, at least initially, Danielle, what happens in countries is you ban the hatches, right? So now Iranians who hate this regime are like, yeah, but we hate Israel and America right now. And
Right. So you've created a common enemy. You've created a unifying structure.
can I
So
just say
for
one
the
more thing, Danielle? It's
Yep.
even worse. One last thing I'll say for people who don't know. To exactly what Danielle said, created a common enemy. Now, real quick, look at the language that they're using. Crusade, rapture, Armageddon, religious war. Who'd you kill? Ayatollah Khomeini. I just want to make this point. I've said it before because people might not know. 85% of Muslims are Sunni, 15% are Shia. For many Shia around the world, such as in Pakistan, like I called this what happened and it did, they see the Ayatollah and they see the guardianship as spiritual leaders, religious leaders. So if you're framing this as a religious war, and during Ramadan you kill their spiritual religious leader, oh, look what happened in Pakistan, Danielle. Shocking. Pakistani Shias attacked the U.S. consulate, leading to at least 24 deaths. Imagine if this spills over, Danielle, and
Mhm.
people start framing this as a religious war. What's going to happen?
I'm just saying, look, America has created a no-win situation. And then you wanted to interject God and religiosity into it, into countries that you have basically taken for granted. And I've also said, we're giving you no options. We don't want you to have peace. We don't want you to rebuild. We don't want you to have sovereignty. We don't want. What happens when now you are faced with nations of people with nothing to lose
That's right.
because they've already lost everything. And you tell them now that this is a crusade for you and you killed their religious leader? What do you think it is for them now? Fucking revenge, right? So, like, they
Or
lit
just
a
survival, Danielle. They're like,
survival, right? Survival, but also revenge, and rightfully fucking so. Like, this is the thing. They go into this war arm in arm with Israel. Waj, where are American sentiments with Israel right now? Americans are not on the side of Israel for the first time ever.
nope. It's remarkable. It's remarkable.
For the first time ever, Americans are on the side of Palestine. So now you are showing the world and showing Americans that we are the new leaders of the axis of evil, that we bomb and kill children unsparingly. We have no strategy whatsoever. Donald Trump said, they're not going to shut down the Strait of Hormuz. I'm going to have ships that are going to be ushered through because we're not going to stop energy flow. They shut down the Strait of Hormuz. And they said that if you pass a ship through there, we're going to blow it up. Right? Like, so how much of the world's energy is relied upon on this little strait? We did it on Democracy Ish on Monday.
20 to 25% of the world's
20
oil
to
passes through.
25%. So I just like, we're being run by cruel, stupid people. I don't, I said this before. I don't know what is better, to be ruled by cruel, smart people who know enough to lie to us, or to be ruled by cruel idiots who just don't care and like blowing stuff up.
And you said by people, it's not just Republicans, because folks, with everything that we've seen, right? As before this was happening and before this exploded on Saturday, it just seems like 10 years, it's just Saturday. Uh, and how it all comes together with the primaries. Danielle mentioned it. Hakeem Jeffries bundled money from AIPAC and then decided to help the center-left candidate, Valerie Foushi, in the North Carolina 3rd District yesterday, who was up against Nida Alam, a South Asian Muslim hijabi who's progressive. Nida Alam and many of the Democrats were like, Valerie Foushi, you take money from AIPAC, you're kind of centrist. Valerie Foushi, who's always taken money from AIPAC, backed away and said, no, 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 I won't take money from AIPAC anymore. So in order to put Valerie Foushi over the line in this very competitive race, Hakeem Jeffries bundled money that he gets from AIPAC and laundered it. I'm going to use the word launder. I think that
Yeah,
should be the right word.
that's the right word.
Laundered it to different super PACs and gave it to Valerie Foushi. This is a really tight race. Valerie Foushi, as of now, is up by 0.8%. That has triggered a runoff. Suppose Valerie Foushi wins, it's a Pyrrhic victory because Hakeem Jeffries now has to explain why he funneled AIPAC money into this race. Furthermore, Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer, I loathe these men with the fire of 1,000 suns. They have to now, and they haven't really been grilled about this, have to answer for why they worked last week behind the scenes to
Yep.
kill Thomas Massie and Ro Khanna's war powers resolution. Because last week, as
Yep.
America was literally friggin' banging the drum for war, as we had the largest buildup of American forces in the Middle East since the war on terror in the 2003, Massie and Khanna said, we want next week, which was on Monday, we want to pass this resolution that would publicly put every congressman on the record for their vote, whether they vote for this or they don't. And behind the scenes, Hakeem Jeffries and Schumer tried to kill it. Then you saw, Danielle, Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer's response, where they didn't criticize the war for being illegal. They didn't talk about the fact that there was no imminent threat. What did they talk about instead? Iran was so bad, bad, bad. And they seem to be more pissed off that they
That
weren't
they weren't
included.
asked, that
And
they
you,
weren't asked for the war powers, rather than the fact that we are going to war at all. They just wanted to be asked because they would have given Donald Trump the green light to do so.
they still
Eh,
will. They still will, apparently. Accordingly, if there is a vote, there are some Democrats who are in part hardcore funded by AIPAC, also pro ideologically aligned with Israel, and also the Dem leadership that will apparently still give the vote. So then, what I say to all of you, you see the poll numbers. You see something that is rarely seen, folks. I'm old. Anytime the United States kind of goes to war, whether it was with the first Gulf War, whether it was the war on terror, immediately a majority of Americans support it. That's just how it is. I've never seen a president initiate a war where he starts off on the back foot negative. He started off negative, folks, meaning 60% of people in this country are against the war. And that was a couple of days ago. That number is going to go up. All right. Now you're seeing Democrats literally say APAC is toxic. F you. We just saw that they spent $2.1 million against Tom Malinowski. It led to the victory of uh, Mejia. Nida alum still might win. And now we're seeing the pro APAC lobby drag us into war. Can you stop taking money from APAC? And what do they say? What do Schumer and Jeffrey say, Danielle?
No.
Nope.
No. No. I'm going to continue. What did he tell you, Waj? I'm going to continue
I'm going to take money from
get
who I
money
want.
from whoever I want. Got it. Got it. Right? So folks, these people are showing you who they are. These people are unapologetic. They want war. They want bloodshed. And they all have different reasons as to why they want it. But at the end of the day, corporate Democrats and Republicans want the same thing. And so what does that tell us about who we should be putting in office? It shouldn't be the Newsoms. It shouldn't be the Hakeem Jeffries and the Schumers. These are not the Democrats that we want, right? It shouldn't be the septuagenarians and the octogenarians that can't even keep their eyes open at the State of the Union. Who just won that is 80 years old and says that they plan to like run again? What is her name? I can't even. She
I know who
looks.
you're talking about. I see her face. I don't have
I
her
see
name
her
in front
face.
of me.
She looks like a bird, and I'm just like, these people are clinging to power with their wrinkled, decrepit fucking hands, and they're going to burn down the world because in their eyes, then that is what is going to usher in the rapture. Like, it's sick, it's twisted, and like I think that we are days away, hours away, weeks away from like world war. We're
Well,
going to
well, well, check
watch.
this out. The latest news from an hour ago. This is scary, folks. I hope cooler heads prevail. The U.S. Israel assault on Iran expanded into wider international crisis on Wednesday after NATO air defenses shot down an Iranian ballistic missile headed towards Turkey. The United States sank an Iranian Navy ship in international waters, and several European nations deployed military assets to the region to protect their interests. Iran, as because they believe they're in an existential crisis, is deliberately trying to expand the war to draw in the Middle East and also Europe.
Europe.
If NATO gets triggered, now the question then becomes for Iran, does the rest of the world have an appetite to engage in war with Iran? I don't think they do. Or will the world say enough is enough and hold Israel in? Will they rein Israel in? I don't know. We also want to remind you that Naftali Bennett, who is the opposition leader, former prime minister of Israel, total right-wing settler psychopath.
Right.
Openly
Who did he say was the next Iran?
tell him.
Who did he say was the next Iran?
That's exact quote.
Turkey. Turkey is the next Iran because he's a paranoid psychopath.
Well,
And so you
these-
got to take them
let's
all
be honest.
down.
Like, let's be honest, Danielle. Let's just be blunt. I have spent years, 14 years, trying my best in these different circles to warn about the rising threat of white Christian nationalism,
Yep.
to the intersection of hate, both here and Europe, that it's not just going to be about Muslims, it's also going to engulf LGBTQ, immigrants, Black people, right? The rise of white nationalism. I went and tried. I failed, but I tried. I tried for what you call Zionist groups or pro-Israel liberal groups. Hey, you're sitting pretty right now, but guess what? Uh, you're in bed with white Christian nationalists who hate you. And guess what? This marriage that you've made, this marriage of convenience, is going to be terrible for you and Jews. And they said, nah. And now, fast forward, and what we're seeing is we're being dog walked into a global war by a genocidal regime of Jewish supremacists and
Yep.
white Christian nationalists. And you know what, Danielle? Democrats have failed because it's up to Marjorie Taylor Greene and friggin' anti Semites like Tucker Carlson to say what all of us have been saying is why. Why are we dying for Israel? And now, for the first time in my lifetime, you're seeing a majority of Americans say enough. I never thought that would be possible, Danielle. But honestly, even now, folks, with the money, with the ideology, with the support, our institutions are still willing to die for Israel. And I say, let's just be blunt. Why are we dying for Israel, Danielle?
I have no idea. But not only are we dying for Israel, we're draining our own systems for Israel, billions of dollars. We're burning. Waj, we are 5 days into this war, and we've already burned through billions of dollars. We've
Yep.
already crashed and burned through friendly fire 3 fighter jets that are each
Yep.
worth 120
Friendly
million or
fire.
$150 million, right? We've already learned that, oh, we don't have the missile power to go against Iran's drones, that Iran is painting and using camouflage of different areas so that America and Israel just waste their missiles and waste their bombs because they know that they don't have an infinite amount. Like, we're being played right now because Donald Trump is a fucking idiot.
And he's gonna. And now, folks, they flip flopped again and said Caroline Levitt, dumb Barbie, said that they haven't ruled out ground troops. And then yesterday, though, they said no regime change. It's these people were being ruled by the world's dumbest, most
Dumbest.
broken people who didn't get enough love from daddy, who are cosplaying their whole lives as cosplay crusaders. People like Pete Kexeth, people like Stephen Miller, people like Kristi Noem, people like Caroline Levitt, people like Donald Trump. They're going to watch the world burn. And we have Democrats who are perfectly fine because I want to remind y'all, these are facts. Chuck Schumer, 1 month ago, openly said in New York, one of his primary jobs as Senate leader is to ensure that Israel gets all the aid that it wants. With Democrats like these folks, thankfully, yesterday in the primary race, we see people are done. Listen, folks, for better and for worse, changes are coming. Let me just warn you.
Changes are
Better
coming.
and for worse, change is
Change.
coming. If
Mhm.
you want the same old, it ain't gonna happen. It's gonna be a bit scary, but this is what happens. When change happens, you get a bit unmoored, you get unsettled. It's the good and the bad. I'm telling you, people are done. People are done. And so if you think Gavin Newsom with your nice slicked hair and your chin and your white skin, you can just waltz in,
Your chin.
if you think you waltz in, that's what they think. Nancy Pelosi, I'm gonna back Gavin Newsom, business as usual. Nope. This folks, a lot can change in 2 years. Zoran Mamdani came out of nowhere in 6 months. Okay. Barack Obama in my lifetime and Danielle's lifetime, everyone thought it would be Hillary Clinton. Barack said, let me see some, let me try a little bit differently and became president. So I think we are on the cusp of seeing some massive change. And it's going to be, do we have 2 years? I don't know. But folks, cooler heads need to prevail. I want to end on this good note. Yesterday, YouGov poll, Danielle, like we said, abolish ICE, 50% of Americans.
Yeah, hit 50%. Yep.
50%. If Democrats, these mother effing, I can't swear, I loathe these
I'll
men.
say it for you. These motherfuckers. Go
If
ahead.
they actually messaged, that number would be at 55 to 60. Danielle, I gotta jump and get Rula on in 5 minutes. Please shamelessly promote yourself.
Yes, Rula is amazing, amazing. So I'm going to tune in while I prepare for the Danielle Moody Show, which will be live at 5 p.m. Eastern on here on Substack and on my YouTube channel, folks. All of my content, just like Waj, independent, is free because we believe critical thinking dies behind a paywall. If you have the ability to become a paid subscriber, do consider doing so. But if you can't, just like, comment, subscribe for free, share our content, and get this out in as many algorithms and feeds as possible. I'm also running a 20% special
Right.
for the month. So do check that out, daniellemoody.substack.com/dam, DAM sale.
Yeah, same here, folks. It's a special lefthook.substack.com/special, $3.75 a month forever. Danielle has her special. We put the links for the nearly 1,900 people joining us. We talked about the primaries. We talked about white Christian nationalism. We talked about APAC. We connected the dots to this disastrous war on terror. I think it's information people need to know about who is leading us into these wars and why. We hope you find it useful. It'll be up on Danielle's Substack and my Substack. And today, I'm not going to be a psychopath. I'm only going to do three. So my final one is Rula, because yesterday, I think I did seven. And Danielle's like, "What's wrong with you?" I
What's wrong with you?
have no answer. So I'll be back in 3 minutes. Thank you all. Be kind, be informed, and please don't
Don't
be a
be
fan.
a fascist. Bye, Waj.
Bye.